Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Lantern Film Room. I'm your sports director, Brian Nelson.
And I'm the assistant sports editor, Andy Anders.
And today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at specific plays from Ohio State's 42-0 victory over Cincinnati to help people gain a deeper analytical perspective of what the Buckeyes are doing that led them to success on Saturday. What are some of the general points we're going to be going over today, Andy?
Well, today, Brian, we're going to be talking about Fields' decision-making in the passing game, the run defense of Ohio State, the gap integrity and pursuit that allowed them to hold Cincinnati on the ground, and the pass rush of the defense, along with taking a deeper look at Dobbins' touchdown run.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting. So let's now head right into our first play. We're going to start with Justin Fields' 12-yard run early in the first quarter. So Andy, what is so notable about this play specifically?
Well, Ryan Day talked about Justin Fields' decision-making a lot after the game on Saturday, and he specifically pointed to a play that we won't be showing, but one where he sees man coverage instead of zone, which he was expecting, drops back and makes something happen with his feet. And that's something we see a lot with Fields throughout the game. We're going to use this play as an example. If we play it out here, before the play, we can see him communicating with his offensive line, setting the protections, right? Now, on the snap, if we stop. So, what you're going to watch for here. Fields' poise in the pocket, first and foremost. As a quarterback, you need to have what's called a pocket presence, almost a sixth sense, an awareness to sense pressure when it's coming. How much time do I have to find an open receiver? Fields, confidence in his offensive line, knows he can stand in, find an open man and deliver a strike. Now, he's not going to find an open man and deliver a strike, so instead of throwing it away or taking a sack, he decides to scramble for yardage. Now, he surveys the offensive line after we see the initial, like he's looking around, can't find anyone open. If we stop it, Thayer Munford on the outside is what's going to allow this play to open up. As an offensive lineman, I can hold if I put my hands inside, or at least not technically, but the refs are going to call it. If my hands are inside, if we're leveraging, football's a game of leverage, leveraging a defensive lineman. I have my hands inside, Thayer Munford has his hands inside, allows him to grab the jersey, takes the defensive end into the ground, and opens a wide open running lane for Fields, which he takes advantage of.
And as we see, he gets an easy first down, and then with the additional holding penalty at the end, Ohio State had a very nice gain, which then led them to a touchdown later in the drive. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So now moving on to our second play, we're going to head straight forward to Ohio State's next drive, and we're going to have a pass from Justin Fields to KJ Hill that was good for about 22 yards or so. So, Andy, what are we looking at here?
Well, now we're going to take a look at some of Fields' decision-making in the passing game. So if we play this play out just a little bit to right after the snap.
All right.
Now, what we're watching for on this play, watch how Fields works through his progressions, his eyes. The first, second receiver he looks at aren't open. But again, the pocket presence, the great footwork to stand in with poise, works through his reads, checks down through the receivers, and eventually finds Fields open on the sideline. Now, as we play it out, watch him stand in tall, good footwork, clean strike, a spiral.
Yeah, and as you can see, the offensive line, defensive linemen were almost the two Fields, and they still stood, poised in the line to deliver a clean strike, didn't let the pressure get to him. And as we see here, KJ Hill gets a very nice reception. That was good, and that got him a nice first down.
Right.
Okay. So I just let the play out, and then we're going to move on to our third play. Another passing play in the second quarter now. It's to Chris Olave for 21 yards that got Ohio State into the red zone. So specifically, what are we looking for here about Fields and what he did?
All right, so again, as we start the play, Fields working through his progressions, and we stop it right here. So his initial read on this play is to KJ Hill, who we see running down the field just inside the numbers there along the hash marks. Now, Fields is seeing the safety and corner right here and here dropping deep for Cincinnati. All right, so that Hill is going to be double covered by those two defenders. So watch as we play a little bit more here, and we'll stop it. Fields just gave a pump fake. He faked a pass deep to Hill, and if you're watching the eyes of both the safety and the corner who drop deep for Cincinnati, they are drawn to Hill by this pump fake. right? Because they're reading the eyes of the quarterback. They see him pump fake. They go to Hill. That gives Olave even more space.
Yeah, if we look here, Olave is wide open. And then here, look, he beats a defender and gets right inside the 5, and Ohio State has prime scoring position. So that's our third play. Now we're going to take a look at kind of the defense and what they did good in the first half. So we're going to head to the first quarter, I believe, and this is Cincinnati's second drive of the game. We have back-to-back plays we're going to show you from Cincinnati's running back Michael Warren, the second, that were in total only good for a yard or so. So, Andy, let's take a look at this one.
Right. So to preface this, Cincinnati's Michael Warren gained over 1,300 yards on the ground last season Saturday, 15 yards on 10 carries. The Ohio State run defense, first and foremost defending the run, gap integrity. Now, so what's gap integrity to the more casual football viewer? If you count off along the offensive line, there are 8 gaps a defense needs to defend. We have A gap between the center and guard, B gap between the center and tackle, C gap between a tackle and a tight end, whether he's real or imaginary, and then D gap is the complete outside on a run. As a defense, your goal is to get each gap covered by a man, and you're going to set a new line of scrimmage, as they call it, 1 yard behind the original line. So you're going to see Ohio State's defensive linemen on these run plays create a new offensive line almost, a yard behind where the original was. You don't want to go beyond that because you open up lanes for a running back to go through. That's called over-pursuing. But watch Ohio State on these plays as they use their gap integrity to limit the running lanes for Ritter.
All right, let's take a look and play this out just a little bit, just to see what Andy's talking about. So they're going to snap it here.
All right, stop. So on this play, first look at Devon Hamilton, the one technique defensive tackle for Ohio State. One technique means I'm lining up on the outside shoulder of the center. Okay. He sees the center, who's basically his assigned offensive lineman, block down. I see that hip turn away as a defensive lineman. I'm now going to squeeze the hip. I'm going to push down the line, as you can see Hamilton doing, and he's fast enough off the ball to beat the guard that's responsible for picking him up, and this tight end's trying to come over and help as well. The tight end is trying to lead through on the play. But he's knifing underneath, and he's going to help create that new line of scrimmage 1 yard behind the original. Now, if you watch Malik Harrison, the Ohio State outside linebacker on this play, he makes a run read. He sees the lineman fire off. He knows it's a run. So now what he's going to do is come down in C gap, which he's responsible for, and he's going to take on the tight end who's pulling here. Well, actually, let me go back up for a second. The tight end is not blocking Harrison on this play. The play's good where it's at. But this is a zone replay from Cincinnati, right? So when Harrison comes down C gap, Ritter's going to see it, and he's going to give the ball. Basically, Harrison eliminates the possibility for the quarterback to pull. Okay. And then, if we play it out, we can see the gaps are completely filled, new line of scrimmage, 5 Ohio State defenders right around the football. Great pursuit.
Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And then the next play of the game, we see another run by Michael Warren, and this play didn't even go a single yard. So what did Ohio State do so well here, Andy?
Right. So first I want to point out what Hamilton's about to do on this play. Okay, yeah. If we can forward it a little bit just to where, right after the snap here, you'll see Devon Hamilton again fires off. And this is one of the most underrated things that makes a one-tech's job so important. He takes on a double team and he doesn't get moved off the ball. It's hard to do, believe it or not. We're just going to keep it there. Devon Hamilton doesn't let the double team, the center and the guard, move him. And what that does is it allows these linebackers for Ohio State to run free and go make a play. So he eats that double team. Now, Harrison, who's reading run again, he's going to fill B gap and take on the tight end who's pulling to try and lead through the hole. Again, meets him 1 yard in the backfield, creates that new line of scrimmage. Then, because the linemen haven't moved Hamilton off the ball, they try to peel off and get a linebacker like they're supposed to. The Cincinnati offensive lineman, you'll see, one lineman comes off and tries to block. I believe it's either Tuff Borland or Pete Warner on this play. But because they haven't moved Hamilton off the ball, he's not moving backwards. He's able to stand firm and blow up the play, as you see as we play it out.
Okay, let's play it out.
Boom.
Boom. Instant. No chance. Ohio State essentially stops the drive. And now here's another running play that was foiled by the Ohio State defense. We're looking at the first play of the second quarter. It's a no-gain run by Cincy. Here's what happened, Andy. What are we talking about here?
All right, so Cincinnati's going to run a spread concept called the counter Y. Well, not a spread concept necessarily, but a spread counter Y. The tight end and guard are going to pull from the back side of the play where the play isn't going to the front side and try to pick up one edge player for Ohio State, and then the second puller is trying to lead through the hole and give Warren space on the outside to work. Now again, the one technique is who blows this play up. As you're going to see, Landers, great first step up the ball, gets through and prevents the pullers from getting to their position. Watch the right guard and tight end as the snap happens. Landers is in the backfield. They have nowhere to go. There's a big pile now that occurs. Now watch Baron Browning on this play, right here, the linebacker. See his pursuit angle? Helmet outside of the running back, forcing him back into where the defenders are, and again, the Ohio State defense is right there to make a play.
Okay, and now we're going to move forward to our next play. We're going to head back to the offense. This is the play that everyone was talking about on Saturday. This is J.K. Dobbins' 60-yard touchdown run in the second quarter, and there's a lot to talk about in this play, Andy, so let's get right into it.
All right, so watch the Cincinnati middle linebacker on this play right here.
Right here, right?
No, this linebacker here, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, so what's going to happen is Fields has already picked up a couple first downs with his legs earlier in this game, whether it's through the zone read or a design quarterback run. Cincinnati is very aware of Fields' legs, and Ryan Day, as an offensive coordinator, has planted that seed in the back of their mind. Now, this linebacker here is going to be responsible. We talked about gap integrity. He's going to be responsible for B gap on where this play hits, outside shoulder of Jonah Jackson. Actually, no, it's going to hit A gap, I believe. Yes, this play will hit A gap. So he's looking at Fields. He goes to Fields for just that split second, and that's all it takes for the running lane to open up. Jonah Jackson climbs up to take the blitzing corner. The linebacker is stuck inside, and Dobbins hits the Jets.
And as we see, he's just gone to the races, touchdown. This blew the game wide open and just left no doubt in anyone's mind that Ohio State was going to lose at all. This was, as we see the celebration here, Ohio State knew they had this game locked down completely.
Right.
And now we're going to shift focus back to the defense. We've been talking a lot about their run game and how they stopped the run by Cincinnati, as we talked about Michael Warren being limited to only 15 yards on 10 carries, I believe. So now, or was Yes, that's what it was. Now we're going to take a look at the pass rush and what they did to limit the passing game by Cincinnati. So what are we looking at in this play?
Right, so I want to point out two great rush moves by Ohio State on this play. It's 3rd and long. That, as a defensive lineman, the term is pin your ears back. I know I'm rushing the quarterback. I'm getting off. My job is to get to the quarterback on this play. I'm not expecting a run. So Devon Hamilton in the one tech is going to get off the ball as quick as possible, do what's called a dip and a rip. You dip down and then you rip up through. You're getting low to the ground and you're scraping underneath an offensive lineman. And because he's quicker than the center off the snap, he's able to get immediate pressure on Desmond Ridder. Chase Young is who ends up getting there first, making the sack, although it was kind of forced by Hamilton because Hamilton's going to force him forward into Young. What you're going to see from Young on this play, he closes the distance as quickly as possible on the offensive tackle, because as a defensive end or defensive tackle, when I'm pass rushing, I want to close the distance as quickly as possible on an offensive lineman, because once I'm engaged with him, it allows me to use my arsenal of rush moves. So he's going to give him a push, inside hand position like we talked about earlier, a little bit of a pull, jerking him off balance, and then he too is going to rip underneath.
Now let's see how this plays out and see the sack by Young. All right, so we're going, guys in motion. Here's a snap.
Chase Young, you can see the rip.
Nowhere to go, easy sack. All right, and now we have another sack play coming up. This one I believe is made by Tyreek Smith, and this is in the second quarter. So what are we looking at here specifically?
All right, well, let's preface this with a little more offensive line technique.
Okay.
The basis of any good pass block starts with a kick slide. I'm going to kick one foot back and then slide with the other. The goal is you have to keep your feet close enough together, but at the same time to stay on balance, but gain depth quick enough that a defensive end can't beat me to the outside, but also you got to stay square to him so he can't beat you to the inside. It's very tough against an elite athlete, but you're going to see the Cincinnati right tackle on this play, Ferguson, gets his feet a little too far apart, and Tyreek Smith is going to take advantage. If we play it out a little bit here.
Okay, let's take a look.
And you'll see then, once he cuts back inside to beat him, he gives a little shuck move, just a little throw. And that's going to prevent the offensive lineman from grabbing a hold of the jersey, holding him as a last resort, would have been a 10-yard penalty, but a sack is better. So he gets in on the quarterback using the shuck move.
Okay, let's see a look again. There's a shuck move, and then there's no one to stop Smith. Guy doesn't even see him. That's an easy sack, and that's essentially stalled that drive completely.
Right.
All right. So I do believe that's all we have time for today. For more episodes of the Lantern Film Room, be sure to subscribe to Lantern TV on YouTube. Also, tune in tomorrow to see our next episode of the Best Damn Pod in the Land. And on Wednesday, look for our pregame show for the upcoming Indiana game. In addition, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for any updates. From Andy Anders, I'm Brian Nelson, and this has been the Lantern Film Room.